quick note, we have a TCG Player affiliate link in the description below. If you're buying any of these cards, please consider using our TCG Player link. It helps us out a lot, and especially when we are now increasing and scaling up. Guys, some amazing things are coming and every little bit helps. Okay guys, we're doing a rogue deck tier list, kinda. So I didn't want to make the same video as with the first two ones, you know, the meta and the competitive, because there's a lot of these. There is a lot of these, and I don't feel like spending my entire day just editing it. So we're going to do it like this. First off, what are rogue decks? These are the decks which might top. These are the decks which might top. Some of them have topped before. So they are your like either surprise pick or, you know, very low in the scale of consideration if you're planning on topping the event. But they are capable of doing that, and some of them are borderline competitive. So this is how we're going to be breaking them up. Tier 1, high viability. These are the borderline competitive ones. These are the ones where if you want to take a rogue deck, you take one of these. They can fight and win versus most decks from yesterday's video. They can beat a couple of meta decks, though that is a bigger issue than fighting, you know, tier 2 decks, but they give you the highest odds of actually topping. Then we have tier 2 mid viability. These are the rogue decks, right? This is what you consider a rogue deck. It has potential, you might top with it, that's it. Like, it does something better than the majority of other decks in the game which aren't in tier 1 and 2. So there we go, right? Rogue decks. And tier 3 low viability, I would not even bother with this one. You can take them if you want to be cute. You can take them, you might get somewhere. But, you know, they are the worst ones. So let us start with the first one, and that is Cell. Cell is good. Cell is very good. So this one I could have just chugged into competitive in the last video, because Cell is surprisingly strong. The deck is topped twice so far, once in France last weekend and once during NA regionals. That one was piloted by Jared Lopez, who's one of the best players in the world, and I am not fully counting that one as a Cell top sim, not because, you know, hey, anything against player or anything. No, I'm actually saying in a reverse. Jared is one of the best players in the world. That guy can top with anything. That guy has topped with Android 16. That did not make Android 16 a competitive deck. So that's what I'm saying. So you need to take into consideration the pilot behind the deck. Still, that being said, and I will be talking about Cell a bit here, Cell is very, very good. Looking at the hand destruction route, the one that topped in France. So what do we have here? Hand destruction is strong versus a lot of decks. I don't think that you can go full hand destruction anymore, and I'm saying this is someone who plays exclusively hand destruction. Vegeta is going to run you over because you're just fueling him, and besides that you don't have any defense. Cell's biggest weakness is the lack of defense. You have to rely on homicidal King Piccolos and Ormans. That's not the best. You can go even more aggressive hand destruction if you play Bardock Unison from set 10. Some lists do, some lists don't. Versus Nuova, for example, you can KO anything. I believe you can KO any card Nuova plays except for the Barrier Sin. Once you awaken, you just blow up whatever, once. But Nuova draws like mad. Nova draws like mad, and that takes away one of your biggest advantages. And looking at the big boy, right, the big Iron Broly, here is where the matchup becomes tricky. I believe you can beat Big Iron if you're playing hand destruction version of Cell. That's not a deck that draws too much, but it is a tricky matchup. because if you swing at it with your leader's ability and everything, you are always risking seeing a release from evil, which is going to hurt if that hits you. But the thing is, the deck has a way to scale up to Broly to be big enough where you're fighting him on equal grounds. And I think that's probably your best matchup. So what you have to do is you have to run 4 copies of Tova, because you're playing a hand destruction route, right? So you play 4 Tovas, you overwhelm, you make yourself 20k, you use activate main, your 25k crit, and now you're fighting him on even ground. So when you swing into the leader, if they combo 1 to go to 30, you combo Tova away and you go to 30. So you are forcing 2 cards out of their hand while you're comboing just with 1 and threatening crit. So that's how you fight Broly with Cell. The other thing that you have is the green trunks. That one can just delete the garlic, which is huge. That is huge when you're playing this deck. When it comes to... So I think you can... out of all tier 1 ones, you should be able to beat Broly. If you go hand destruction route. If you go the standard hybrid Cell route, you can beat most decks. I think you have a better matchup into Vegeta if you play a standard Cell route, because hand destruction is kinda too slow to fight Vegeta. But the other one, the hybrid one, which keeps playing the promo and drawing and then unioning into the multicolored cells with barrier, which you draw cards, that one is more aggressive. That one has an easier time fighting an aggro matchup because it can dish out a lot of aggression. So Cell has 2 ways of being built. I think hand destruction is a very viable one though. But whichever one you go with, you are not missing much, right? You still have an ability to top. That's what I'm trying to say. So with that in consideration, I will put Cell into high viability. And I'm just spent like 5 minutes talking about Cell. Okay, awesome. So that means the other ones will be much faster. Goku, Power Wish. I think this is just a rogue deck. I would not put it into competitive. I have been putting it into competitive a lot, but it just didn't show results. However, if you get going with it, if you see all of your pieces, you can use your unisons, you can lock your opponent out of place, and then you can just try to beat them. It's a decent deck. It doesn't have many glaring weaknesses or anything. It's just a decent competitive deck. Then we come to Toppo Loco. Toppo Loco is a weird one, right? This deck has potential to do horrible things to people. This deck has absolute potential to do horrible, awful things to people. You have the new Trunks now, which is going to be protecting your unison. The only deck where Trunks is struggling against, where it's not as viable, well, not deck color, is green, but he's how to put this, his defense is viable versus green, but his barrier is kinda negligible because green just removes him instantly and then continues ripping off markers. Still, I have very, very high faith in Toppo Loco. I know that my guys from back home have been testing it. Hand destruction is a problem for this one, but not a lot of people run hand destruction. So I think, you can do a lot of things with this one, especially now with the Tapion Unison. Tapion Unison is amazing. Locking your opponent out of playing battle cards is huge, especially in a couple of matchups. Versus Vegeta, they're not doing much. If you bring Toppo versus Vegeta and you have your Unison in play, if you have Tapion out, they're just not doing much. They play 1 card and that's it. They have to swing into your Unison, use Royal Condemnation to restand, and then swing again. Now you're saying, well, they might just play the dual attacker and go for the unison. That is viable. But there is a card that helps you in that matchup as well. It's called what is it? What's his name? That's a Borgos, right? There is one. There is a counterplay, old one, yellow, that just switches it to rest mode. So you can go with that one. So if you're afraid of Vegeta, I would just hide it. It's Bardock's crew guy. Anyway, I believe Toppo has a very good matchup into most things. Now, when it comes to, for example, Broly doesn't care much. I mean, actually, Broly plays one card, Toppo's ability triggers, Broly can play the other, but he still becomes big enough to just threaten. But you're constantly locking them out of one card unless they attack into your unison first, which is complicated to do thanks to Tapion. Yeah, we'll see. I think that this one is at the very top of mid viability. I think Toppo is amazing. Then we have Soul Striker. Okay, cool. The one that absolutely goddamn hurts my soul. So Soul Striker, still one of the better blue decks, has stopped in the past in this meta. Now has a billion tools. This deck has a billion tools. I don't think there is much to say. It is one of the best. Blue decks in the game at the moment. Yeah, it's a standard, like, good stuff. It topped finals. So I would probably, now I'm only torn between mid and high viability for this one. I'm gonna go with my gut and I'm gonna say you can run Soul Striker. You can take him to the event and you will probably top. You have higher chances of topping with a Soul Striker than you do with some other decks. So yeah, that's going to probably cause me to look insane. SS for Goku did the top in France, got top 8, so lost in top cut, but still the deck is more glass cannon than ever, especially now with the loss of Beyond the Limits. So you just have to go all in. Like, from turn 1 you're just going all in, you're hoping that you don't mill anything important, and you just hope that you can kill your opponent in 2 turns. He's not as consistent for me to recommend. I would just slap him into mid viability, and I still think that it is fine. If you take it, you might top. Next on our list is what? Let me see. Next on our list is the Vegito. Vegito is very cool. Now, Vegito is very, very cool. Awakens at high lives, plays blue good stuff, basically. Just plays a lot of blue good stuff. We've seen this one at locals. There was one piloted by Dean in Worlds, but that's a different meta game. So when he's similar to Soul Striker, but basically he's more defensive, right? Soul Striker can play offensive plays. Vegito mostly relies on defense, but he has the Whis Unison, the Whis Z Unison, which is insane for the deck. If you're running green-blue, you can play the Enjoy 21 SCR to win on time. So, or if you just manage to somehow swing at your opponent, you pump out a lot of energy, and then you just beat them with a colossal triple striker. It doesn't really have a good matchup, like a spectacularly good matchup into anything. Broly is again Broly, so and he's still, he's still blue, so defenses aren't really there. But I think it is a deck which you might take to the event and you can probably top. Less odds of topping than with Soul Striker, but you are still capable of doing that. Then we have the one that I absolutely always mention, Bardock's crew. Yeah, look how big this fat bastard is. So, yeah, this is the only problem when Bandai sometimes puts, say, HD images and sometimes they don't. Bardock, I will put this one, I will be very gentle, I will put this one into low viability. I would not suggest taking this one necessarily. It's a good deck. It's an overall very, very good deck. It has always been, and it never topped. It just flat out never topped. Not even Porg. Porg is the best Bardock player in the world, and he topped a couple of times. I don't think last year, since support came out. I might be wrong, but this is one of those decks that just kind of has everything and never works. So I'm going to put him into low. If Porg were playing, I would put him into mid just for him. But yeah, he's not. So Piccolo. Piccolo is very, very strong, actually. Piccolo is similar to Bardock in aggression, but I would say that he is even stronger because he goes off very fast, and unlike Bardock, he has a big attacker. And that is important. With Broly going around, it is important that you have a early play which is just big. So Piccolo has this very, very consistent deck. He's a puzzle. Basically, once you get all of the pieces out, you can play your big 30k dude for free. Defense, well, technically just the yellow stuff, right? Nothing out of the ordinary here, so keep in mind that you have your floodgates at the ready, that you don't charge them or just hope that they're not in the lives. I think it's a good aggro deck. I think it's one of the better ones in yellow. And I think you have higher odds of topping than you have with Bardock. Now, Piccolo also hasn't topped yet, but we also need to consider that we kind of didn't really have events. Like, we had a couple, and that's it. Next on our list is the Cockroach deck. Yeah, there we go. Shroom and Salsa. This deck doesn't have anything new, I believe. It has what? The Dabura, and that is it. I'm just placing it here because I wanted to add the second Shroom and Salsa. I think it is still a viable deck. It has topped in the past. Not sure has it topped this metagame. Give me just 1 second. I am not seeing it. Still, I think it's one of those where you can catch your opponents off guard. You can survive long enough. If you're an expert player with this one, you can survive long enough and you can just steal games. I would put him though into low viability. Mid viability, I would recommend taking. Like tier 1 are the ones that I'm telling you are the best. Tier 2 is, if you ask me, if you run into me on the street and you're like, hey Damien, which rogue decks should I bring to NA regionals? Those are the tier 2 ones. I will just recite them to you. But tier 3, those are the ones where you're like, hey Damien, I'm thinking of taking this, and then we need to talk about this, right? And like, maybe I will tell you take it. Next we have the Gohan. Again, the windows change. So Gohan is cool. Gohan has topped before. Gohan hasn't topped since Broly has actually been a thing. Yeah, Gohan has topped like a couple of times, but that happens very rarely. And now Broly is around, and yeah, Vegeta is around as well. So the deck will be struggling. I still love this one, and I think that it might get you a top at the event. It might get you a top. But I am reluctant to recommend it. Still, it's one of the ones where if you say like, hey, blue, it's blue aggro, it's very strong, it will struggle like mad versus Broly, it will struggle like mad, but otherwise I'm like, yeah, you know, there is potential here. There is potential with this one. So, but I still do want to keep my mid viability row a bit cleaner. So I probably would not. I think I would, it pains me, but I would put this one into low viability. You might top with it if you're amazing, but you just might run into matchups that will break you entirely. Now we're gonna have a big ass picture here as I bring up another HD one. There we go, Master Roshi. So, Master, fine. Turtle School got new support, and that is always awesome to see, because people, including me, love Turtle School, even though I suck with it. The new support is very good. It's very strong. It allows you to play your extra card offensively, which is great, which is something that you just couldn't do before. Offensively and defensively multiple times. That's a big one. The Roshi card is amazing. The Roshi card makes sure that you actually connect and that your deck does what you want it to do. And now he also has the blue, not the blue, the green, help me out here, the green SSB Goku. So he has the green SSB Goku, which helps in the blue matchup as well. That's amazing. He can run every floodgate green has access to, including King Cold. He can run Cooler for defense. Cooler is great. Cooler is so good. So I am considering putting him into high viability. I think that he's a really, really good one now. I will put him into mid. I will put him still into mid, but I think that he might be high actually. I want to be very sparse when it comes to high viability decks. But Roshi is one that you can take to the event and you will probably top with it. He's not borderline competitive, but you will be able to top with this one. Then we have the freehand, fan favorite blue deck. Has a lot of support but never does anything. This one, let me just check. Has it done anything likely ever? Like at least this year? No, not much. Okay, so we're nearing half a year. Freehand still hasn't done anything. Yeah. Broly is still a thing. Yeah, you have big attackers. Sure, but then you're still dealing with Vegeta, you're still dealing with Broly. Those are the big ones. You have to deal with Nuova. I would probably slap freehand into low viability. I don't think that anyone is going to actually play this deck. You have to be very similar with shroom and salsa. You have to tell me like, Damien, I want to take freehand. I would not think of this deck immediately. And you would have to tell me that you're an expert pilot with it and that you can actually top if you bring freehand to the event. Then we have the big golden monkey, not golden, normal monkey, yellow one. This is not Latam, so he can't top here. This deck only tops in Latin America. It's still a good deck. It is still a good deck. Now it has the trunks. Now it has, what does it have? It has the trunks. Now it has the Tao. Tao can work in this deck, I believe. Still has the regionals promo, so the deck isn't bad overall. But it's down there. It's in the like low viability sphere for me. Now moving on to blue, we have Boo. Oh god. Boo is one of the better blue decks. Like if you're playing blue aggro, so here is how I'm thinking. If you're playing blue aggro, you're like, Damien, that is what I want to play. I am more likely to tell you Boo than Gohan, than either of the Gohans, the skillless or the freehand. Boo is amazing. Boo can just pivot to leader aggression if it needs to. If it can go battle card aggro, it will. It basically has almost everything, I would say. However, it has a glaring weakness. And that is its matchup into Broly, which is almost... Well, matchup into Broly is almost unbeatable. Broly is just way too big for anything you play. You have to go leader aggression with this one, or you have to heavily commit resources to try to beat Broly. So that's one of these where, you know, you can take the deck, you can definitely take the deck and you will have a good matchup into anything that isn't Broly. Or if you're fighting players who just flat out don't know how to fight versus Boo. So those are the big things to consider. Boo is not bad, but Boo will get slapped around every time you run into a Broly matchup, and that will dramatically hurt your odds of topping. So, where do we put... That being said, where do we put him? It's hard to put him into high viability. I think that's where he should belong. It is hard to put him there, though. It's better than most blue decks, but I think it's in the very top when it comes to blue decks, right? It's here because I would recommend that you take it, but I would take Soul Striker down then. I think it should be like this. I don't believe that without Floodgate, Soul Striker can do that much. Boo can do more than Soul Striker can. Just checking up on some results. I mean, Boo hasn't also been showing a lot. He did show up in France. It's a weird one, honestly. It's a very, very weird one. Something tells me that like Cell is probably the only high viability rogue deck. So I'll leave it. I will leave it here for now. Next we have Fu. Fu is just decent. I think that you can take Fu and you can do well with it. There's not much to say here. It's a good black aggro deck. It's not something that I would say like, oh, it is complete trash. It is something that you can take and you can do reasonably well with. And that's it. Like, he just has a bunch of aggression. He has weaknesses that mid-attacker size decks have. He doesn't go tall, so he will struggle with like higher defenses. He wants to go wide aggro, so he will struggle versus floodgate heavy decks, but you can steal games with it and you can top. Next is Vegito. Vegito is just a big disappointment. Out of all the green decks, I think this is the weakest one. Yeah, I remember that a couple of players, well, one player ever to top with this deck. I believe there was there were a couple, but that was last year. I still remember that the player who topped LCQ, I believe, said that like, yeah, this is not a good deck anymore. So I would actually be very controversial. I'll be controversial and I will slap him into low viability. This should be your very, very last pick if you're considering taking green as a color. Ub is amazing. Ub is really, really strong, but you need to play Ub perfectly, otherwise you will break and you will have a horrible time. It is a high risk, high reward deck. Some decks do struggle dishing out a lot of Z energy, so if you time and sequence your Z energy charges properly, you will do well. You will do very, very well. In some decks like Vegeta, like in a Vegeta matchup, there is one cool thing that you can do, and that is just keep pumping their cards from the drop into Z energy. That is a big one. If they leave things in the drop, you can just deny them by charging them into the Z energy. That is great. The new Z Unison is good, the new promo is good, so those are the good cards, right? Still, I think that Ub is a deck that you just need to know how to play. So I'm sending him to low. I don't think that anyone will top with this deck, though I would love to see that happen. Zamasu has fallen off entirely. I don't think that this is even mid-viability anymore. This deck is just dead. It has silver bullets. Players know how to play around it by now. The mill is good, but the tier 1 decks will just do horrible, ungodly shit to it. Plus, like I've said, silver bullets exist. Ever since BT27 came out, Zamasu hasn't topped almost anything. It did something in Oceania, which was cool. I'm slapping this one into low viability. I don't think that you should take Zamasu to the event at all. Another deck that some people might disagree with when I slap it into low viability is Vegito. I think Vegito is basically dead now. The deck has lost beyond all limits and that has crippled it severely. His matchups aren't as good as they used to be now. Green can still kill the unison. Every single color has removal for your things. Blue, well, blue is the only one that will kind of struggle versus the barrier card specifically, but most of the time you're not even doing that much anymore. Like and because you just can't get your things back with beyond all limits, the deck just hasn't done anything. I think it is actually worse than Goku is. I would slap it into low viability immediately. Don't take Vegito. Super 17, I love this deck. I think this deck is an amazing leader aggro. It's good into floodgates because you can just keep swinging with the leader. It has very strong removal options because it nags like crazy. All of your cards are big enough to fight Broly. That's important. They're not big enough to actually get rid of Nuova's big things. Well, they are big enough, but they can't nag enough. You have a natural crit double striker, which is amazing as well. But your defeating the demon is only 1 energy. That's also good. But I am unsure whether or not I would recommend taking this one. It's not that the deck is bad. The deck is amazing. I really think the deck is amazing. But I don't think that A, anyone would actually pilot it. And B, I kind of don't think that like it will be able to top. I mean, yeah, it's good. It's not bad. It's just a very, very solid deck. So where do we slap this bad boy? Honestly, I would say like, hey, if you're thinking red, it is still somewhere in mid viability to me, because I did mention a lot of things, but I did not find any weakness in it. The one I didn't mention any weakness. The only weakness I would say is that it's not a red Saiyan, so it doesn't have imposing. It's overall a good aggro deck, which you need to know how to play. Then we have America's favorite boy, Tapion. Tapion is still okay. I would say he hasn't done much. I think this is one of the decks that basically doesn't do almost anything outside of America. Like in America, he shows up every now and then, but we haven't even seen Tapion in quite a while. So should you take Tapion? I don't think you should take Tapion to an event. I don't think that you can do well with this one. But then again, it is America, so it's kind of hard to gauge this one. Maybe I would say mid viability, right? Just for the comment section, I'm going to say that Tapion is a mid viability deck. If you do not believe me, if you're saying, well, Damien, this is a crazy deck, it has topped a lot, I urge you to go check tournament results, and then you will see that we are no longer in 2024. Like, this deck hasn't done almost anything in a long time. Then we have Shroom and Salsa. This one is okay. You have to be an expert pilot with this one. It's a harder deck to play. I'm just gonna move it a bit. There is not much to say. Doesn't have an amazing matchup into anything. Doesn't have an overall negative matchup into anything. The removing cards from the drop, just warping them, isn't as strong as it used to be. There's not, like, for example, in the Kitku meta, you had clear targets, which made this deck a lot better. Here you kind of don't really have that, but I think that in the hands of a very good pilot, it's still a good one, so I'm gonna slap it here. Next we have the adventure deck. Let me just minimize this one a bit so that the adventure is not too big when I bring it up. Oh, look, it still is too big. Great. Adventure. I think we're going to stop bringing up images because now the row is too long. I think this deck is just kind of meh. Going to slap him into low viability. It is worth considering, has a couple of cute things that you can do with Successor. Sets up Successor nicely. Sets up Cell Xeno nicely. Doesn't do much compared to other green decks. Like, it's among the last green ones that I would think of if I were recommending a deck to take. But you can take it. All of the ones which are in low viability can still top. Keep that in mind. All of the rogue decks here can still top. So, but it's a riskier one. Successor Frieza. Successor Frieza goes into low viability as well. It can have an insanely strong start. But then it kind of just keeps falling off. Zarbon made it amazing. Zarbon made it absolutely amazing. But when it comes to actual regionals performance, he is lower than the other ones. My is a solid mid viability deck. My is a very good green aggro deck. It can explode, it can do horrible things to your opponent. It has very good defense. It's lacking when it comes to floodgates though, so you have to rely on the blocker and the dormant. But if it gets steam early on, it can just flat out win games. So mid viability. Bojack, same. Bojack is awesome. Bojack is like a Saiyan deck that draws a lot and does a lot, but it kind of lacks the tools that Saiyans have, specifically in defense. He's like Namek Goku. You have a big guy, you draw a lot of cards, you play boss monsters, but he lacks what makes Namek Goku, right? He's not a Saiyan. I think it's another one of these like mid-tier decks. Majin Vegeta, I don't even remember why it is, because always someone in the comment section asks like, hey Majin Vegeta, low viability instantly. If there was a lower one, I would probably put it there. This deck doesn't do anything anymore, but I just kind of added it here. I can't even recall why. So I mean, Apeku is here, we have to go through Majin as well. Oceanus, well, we did have an Oceanus top. That is awesome. We did have a top with this one, piloted by Milos, a good friend of mine, who is an amazing Oceanus pilot, even after the Nuova ban and everything. Still, we're talking about NA regionals here, so I would say low viability for this one. Not that the deck is bad, it is capable of topping, but I think that you have higher odds with tier 2 than you have with tier 3. That's how you have to look at it when it comes to tiers. Gohan. What do we do with Gohan? That's a question now, isn't it? I don't know how good Gohan might be in the current meta. I will say this deck got a new toy in the Gohan SR, that's cute. It got the Goku, which doesn't really need. Other than that, it is still green Gohan. It is still going to be a threat. It's probably one of your last picks when it comes to green. You're probably looking at Namek, Goku or Cell, but it's not a bad deck overall. I don't have that much confidence in it. Look, I'm not going to sugarcoat it a lot. Gohan was nowhere in BT26 meta. It quite literally didn't show up anywhere. It was completely gone for an entire meta game. In BT27 in top 2 once so far, and I'm not even sure which event was it. I think it was NA. Yeah, it was NA finals. It managed to top once. Other than that, like, we haven't seen it yet, but it did get a couple of new toys. I'm going to give the deck a benefit of a doubt and I'm going to put him into mid. I'm gonna say that this is a deck that you can top with. You can probably take this one and top with. But if it were up to me, and it is, and you told me, Damien, green decks, Neme, Goku, Cell, Gohan. In that exact order. So, now let's talk about America's waifu. So Android 21, I would always and forever tell you not to take Android 21 to events because the deck is complete ass, but this is America and somehow this goddamn thing keeps stopping, so I'm just going to slap it into mid viability. I don't think that you should ever play this thing at a serious event. Well, like, it doesn't really have much going for it, but somehow, by some miracle, it keeps stopping. Like, at least one of them is always somewhere in NA, so let's just slap it into mid viability. Golden Frieza, I did talk about this one with Peter, and Peter played this deck a lot, and I think, well, we both agree on this one. When you think yellow rogue decks, you think Golden Frieza, at least for the two of us. The deck is very good, actually. Like, it draws a lot. It has decent things to cheat out. It has its own in-archetype boss monster and everything, right? So, Golden Frieza, it's a yellow good stuff deck, basically. It's just worse than the other ones. It's just worse than the other ones, but he's still better than the ones in low viability. So I would put this one, I would risk taking this one, but it's probably the last one on the totem pole. After you've gone through Garlic, Nuova, Broly, U7 Goku, once you've exhausted all of those, maybe even Piccolo, I would say Frieza. I would say like Piccolo or Frieza, probably Piccolo first. But I would still recommend it over like Bardock, Ape, Ku, and Majin. Someone asked me yesterday, about Kid Ku. I think Kid Ku is in mid viability. It's a deck that can top. It's a deck that has a good matchup into Broly in a way that you can actually hit it. You can force it to up combo when you start playing your skillless cards. It has a decent matchup into most things, especially in tier 1. However, it no longer has a recovery piece and it has been out for long enough for most players to know how to play around it, but still, it's a deck that is naturally strong enough for you to top. So he is going there. SS3 and Hatch are going together into mid viability, and that is only because only one person in the world plays them in America. Well, one person in America plays them, and will they show up? Well, literally depends on whether or not Evo is going to take one of these two to the event. Like that's it. And finally, Mehi. I'm going to put Mehi into high viability. I think Mehi is currently among the best black decks. Like, once you take away all of the competitive ones, Mehi's up there. So I would say Golden Cooler is the first one. It's the best black deck. Then you have Pan for aggro, and when it comes to SSG, it's either Trunks or Mehi, and I'm leaning on Mehi, though I did put Trunks simply because of results. So yeah, that's it. That is the final list. And I'm still not sure on Boo. But I'm letting you guys tear that one to pieces. Anyways, that is it. Thanks for checking out the video, and good luck at the event, and I'll catch all of you in the next one.